about 7, 8 hours ago, it was confirmed by Real Madrid. They posted a video that has over 400,000 views already. Of his highlights, things that we're seeing right now as well. If you're watching, and listen, the question here is pretty simple: can Bellingham banish the ghost of Englishmen past and thrive in Real Madrid? That's been a question for a long time. I mean, actually, it has been my part of my. It's been my opinion that Englishmen really don't do well, actually, outside of the Premier League. I'm not gonna just say that that's why because they're English and no, I mean, or just because you're English, you go out, you got out of the Premier League, and all of a sudden you don't play good. I'm not trying to say that, and that's certainly not the case. And this kid, I mean, we see him right there live, man. He is a player and a half, and he gets it done, and he has been getting it done in Borussia Dortmund. My only thing was always that it catches your attention. It certainly does. I mean, you know, you got players before. Like I think Michael Owen doesn't get the respect that he should, as far as Englishmen that went out and, well, in this case, played in Real Madrid. I think he doesn't get the respect that he should. I mean, he was literally he behind Ronaldo, R9, the Brazilian phenom. So he wasn't going to start over him, but he certainly was a great backup for Ronaldo, and he actually scored certain goals, assisted a lot. He played a lot of games. So I don't think he gets the respect that he should get as far as Englishmen outside of the Premier League, especially in Real Madrid. But some just haven't been able to. I mean, you got Gareth Bale. I mean, of course, he's from Wales, but, you kind of get the point, the similarities. He did well, but certainly as far as he did well for a Champions League. But as far as many years after that, he wasn't playing up to par with Los Blancos. He wasn't able to capitalize. He wasn't able to just keep his professionalism intact. And a lot of things he was doing, like playing golf and posting about it, and just doing all that stuff. And again, I don't want. Of course, I'm not ignorant. I know he's from Wales, and it's not the same as being from England. I get that, but what I'm trying to generalize here is, people that or players that come from the Premier League. Why is it hard for them to adjust in many senses? I do believe that Englishmen are used to being in Premier League and used to being at home. That's how they do business. And it's hard for them to go and learn another language. I mean, especially learning Spanish. The cultural thing is different, and I think they have a tougher time. I think it can be viewed similarly with German, even though they actually have had more success outside of the German league, the Bundesliga. So, but it's just food for thought. Now he is a complete player. This kid, Jude, he's a complete player. He is so dynamic. He can be a wild card for Real Madrid. I mean, he can play in a lot of positions that they're needing, especially with Benzema out. We will talk about Mbappe later in the episode in what we have as far as his, the report that we have on him. So there's a lot of things to talk about him as well. So just stay tuned. He's always stood out. His ambition and maturity is far ahead of his age, of his time. And I'm talking about Jude right here, Bellingham. And he's a great player. He's a teenager. Even as a teenager, it was clear to former Birmingham City boss Pep Clotet. I will say that I don't know how to say his last name. Just how good he was, or he could be, and he managed Jude when he was 16 and made a gangly kid, the Blues, the Birmingham, made him the youngest player ever to play in 2019. And, that says, I mean, I think El Kun Agüero is one of the players also that you can say started really young. He started at 16 years old in Independiente in Argentina, managed by Oscar Ruggeri. another Argentinian legend. So only a few players that you can. El Shaarawy in Rome, he was another young player, but he disappeared and actually he played. He's playing in Rome, but I'm saying just didn't become the player that we expected him to become. He actually playing at AC Milan. I'm sorry, when he started, and so I mean, just because he's a great young player, and just because Real Madrid, he is the highest paid. They pay the most amount of money for a young player. Real Madrid did for Jude Bellingham ever in history of football for a young player, and just because of that doesn't mean that he's going to play well. Money has nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, Eden Hazard didn't perform well in Real Madrid, and they paid over $100 million just because. I'm not saying just because of that fee, but let me tell you something. It has something to do with it. Having that pressure to play for Real Madrid, a big jersey. A lot of people might say that it is the greatest club of all time. So to have that pressure on top of that, they paid over $100 million for you. They expect greatness from you. And to have that, I think it could be tough on him. So you got to take one step at a time. But you can clearly see, he's got great talent, and I believe he's going to use 22 as well. I don't think they'll give him the 9. I think the 9 is reserved for somebody else. Well, actually, he could take it. I'm sorry, I was thinking if Mbappe joins Real Madrid, he'll probably use 10, since Eden Hazard is leaving the club as well. So we'll see how it goes. Now, for a teenager, only 4 seasons of senior football under his belt. That's a big gamble for Real Madrid. Despite their, the rises, they're spending the GDP of a small nation to revamp Santiago Bernabeu. They're spending carefully. Florentino Perez is managing, this how he spends his money. I can't get too much into Mbappe, but we will pretty soon. We will, but he's trying to be careful how he spends money, and he spent quite a bit here for Bellingham, spending 103 million euros. Just makes Bellingham the second most expensive player in Madrid's history, and that's something. I mean, that's a pressure that a young player, man, is gonna. And I'm gonna tell you this: he is the biggest prospect that the English football has right now, in my opinion. And I'm not talking about just. I mean, the only player playing for Real Madrid, one of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the greatest club in the world, like I said. So he is the star, their future. This kid is England's future as far as football goes.